Okay, motorcycles, just like music, can be categorized. So, like what I'm riding right now, it can be considered dual sport, motorcycle. I wouldn't call it like an off-road motorcycle, but yeah, dual. Come on, dude. Anyway, so I was thinking like. How do you get into a certain genre of motorcycles? Okay, yeah, so like music, there are different categories, like different genres. So, there's jazz, there's rock, there's indie. And similarly, for motorcycles, you can, say there are different categories, like there are cruisers, there are roadsters, there are adventure motorcycles, and a lot more. There's Negrams, Shillong. So I was basically thinking about all the motorcycles that I have owned over the course of 15 to 20 years now of riding. So, let's just go back and I'll give you a quick short recap of all the motorcycles that I've owned. And, what was the thought process and how I didn't really decide a genre, but, how I got into it. So anyway, let's start right from the start. Very early on, I think I got my first motorcycle, my own motorcycle, in 2009, I believe. That was a Pulsar 150. The only reason I got it during that time was because I needed a mode of transport from where I was working. I basically just had to go from home to work, and I actually wanted the Yamaha FZ 150. But for some reason there were issues with the bank loan and whatnot, and it just turned out that Bajaj was far more easier. So yeah, that's why I got the Pulsar 180, although I wanted the FZ. And then I think around 2013, 2014, I'm not sure the time, that was when the KTMs were launched. And again, I wanted to get the 390, but that was still not launched. Or was it just launched? I don't remember actually. But yeah, the 200 was the next best option, and I picked it up. And the only reason I got that motorcycle was because that was one of the most powerful engines that were available in India during those days. So the Duke was one motorcycle that I had owned for a very, very long time. I eventually sold it after almost owning it for about 8 years. Yeah, so that is long according to my ownership. But immediately after the Duke, I realized I was touring a decent bit, if not a lot, with the Duke, and I wanted something that was, a little more friendly for touring, and we could do long distances, and it was a little more comfortable for my pillion. So that is when I picked up the Adventure 390. That again was released immediately, and I think I picked it up immediately. What's happening? Did somebody have a fall? I don't know. Anyway, so the Adventure 390 just released, and I wanted something for touring, so I just picked it up. And it was, of course, a lot friendlier for the pillion as well. So I had it for about. So the problem with that bike was I got it like the delivery was 2 days before the start of the lockdown in India. So I barely got to ride it for how I intended it to be, and I didn't basically tour in it much. And after a very short stint I retired it. But while I owned the ADV 390, I also had the Duke for a while. I didn't sell it immediately, but I also picked up a used Impulse for very cheap, and I wanted a bike for as a project bike. So the Impulse was a very nice project bike. And also what was happening was, during that time, since nobody was riding across different states and different places, we were riding off-road mainly because of the lockdowns and everything. Still we were recovering from it. So off-road is where we were focused on during those days. So the Impulse was a nice tool. So I owned it for a while, but then I sold all the 3 bikes at one go. Basically the Impulse, the ADV and the Duke, and we purchased a vehicle, a 4-wheeler, which we didn't want to pay or take up any loan, and we just wanted to get it with cash, which is why I sold all the bikes, and we picked up the car without any loan. So once that was done, the itch for a new bike was always there, and because I was riding off-road during those times and not really touring, so it was only natural that I picked up the next best bike for riding off-road, which was this X-Pulse. This is the rally edition with the longer travel suspension. So I've owned this for about close to 3 years now, 2.5 maybe. But yeah, so every phase was because I was doing something that was related to that genre of motorcycle. And I think now I've come to a point where I've been wanting, or the itch to try a different genre of motorcycling is starting to bug me. So yeah, that is one of the reasons why I recently went for a test ride of the Triumph and the Honda CB 350 RS. And retro motorcycles, I get the appeal for it now. And that is something that I probably would like to also experience. Not really sure how long the ownership would be, but yeah. So yeah, basically it comes down just loud. So basically, I'm still trying to figure out what sort of genre I actually enjoy, what sort of motorcycles I actually enjoy. And for me, it's been trial and error. I've been going through different motorcycles, right from a commuter to a street naked, adventure motorcycle, a dual sport, and now I've been wanting to try this retro classic. So how is it that you decide, especially if you're starting off your first motorcycle, how do you decide if it needs to be an adventure bike or a dual sport? Yes, you have a certain requirement in mind, but then unless and until you experience something else, how do you really know that that is something that is what you want? So that is what I would like to know. And if you do have some inputs, it'd be nice if you can leave a comment telling how you picked up your first motorcycle. And yeah, that's it I guess for this video. Just heading out for a quick spin. I just got my front brakes changed, if you saw the last video. And what was surprising for me was the front brakes on the X-Pulse is I think 800, while the rears were 1400, which is weird because I believe when you're braking, the front is what you use up 70 to 80%, while the rear is like 20 to 30%. So it's weird that the rear brakes are more expensive. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to share you how I got into a particular genre of motorcycling, and you know what the next part of the journey is, and also would like your inputs or your thought process on how you started something, a particular genre of motorcycling. Chalo, that's it for now. Take care. Bye bye, and please ride safe.